r/AskReddit. Cashiers of Reddit. What products do you silently judge people for buying? Years ago, I worked at a drugstore that had a liquor department. One customer has forever stayed with me because she broke my heart. She was older, maybe in her late 60s, early 70s, always clean and neat but clearly living on a very restricted income. Very polite as well. She came in every day to buy the exact same thing, with no variation: a pint of the cheapest vodka we had, a can of cat food, and a lottery ticket. After about 6 months of this, I asked after her cat and she told me she did not have one, that this was cheap and good enough for her to live on. I was floored. To think of this sweet lady eating cat food so she could afford her lottery ticket and vodka, it still messes me up. I worked for a liquor store chain for 11 years. I really didn't pay attention too much to the actual item they bought, but the cost and quantity. Had one lady buy 1.75 bottles of $9.99 vodka every morning. Her skin was yellow. Anything old ladies buy at Ross. They come in every day and spend all of their money on useless items and clothes and shoes. Then they return everything at different Rosses and buy more junk. It's an addiction. I don't really judge as much as I try to figure out what you're doing that night. Buying cake mix, sprinkles, pop, chips? Okay, easy, you're having a birthday party. Buying a pack of condoms and a frozen pizza? You're obviously some sort of sex god who lures in victims with delectable food. This only happened once, but I used to work as a cashier at a Whole Foods in Boston. A man came in one day with a swollen black eye, cut lip and blood all over his shirt. He then proceeded to buy 50 cases of maple syrup. I worked as a cashier as my first job and there are very few customers I can remember. The only one that I still remember is the lady who used to buy hundreds of dollars of canned cat food every week. She brought in her own bags to get the 3-cent per bag discount and they reeked of cat pee. We would switch out the bags when she wasn't looking and give her the discount anyway. The only other customers I remember are the ones that I liked. There was an older man that came in for a newspaper every Sunday morning and he would have a conversation with me because no other customers were there that early. There was the teenage boy that bought me a rose because he thought I looked like I needed to be cheered up. One lady who worked at a food pantry would come in twice a month and buy meat and dairy products to give away out of her own money because the pantry only offered shelf-stable food. Also, the crazy cat lady had no bearing on my username. Doesn't really apply to the question, but I've always wondered why this one older gentleman comes in once a week to buy this one washer that costs 6 cents. Comes in every week, at least once, to buy this one washer. Why not just buy a bag for a couple bucks and never have to come back to Home Depot again? Just never makes sense to me. Edit, he pays with cash, so no cash back. I used to be a cashier and I usually wouldn't care what people bought. Unless it was a large quantity of one thing, pretty suspicious. But there was this one guy I remember who would come in maybe once or twice a week and buy those Trojan Magnum condoms. He'd walk up, that the only thing in hand, put it on the counter with the most smug grin you've ever seen. That guy was annoying. He was hitting on one of the other cashiers for the longest time too. Before the days of TLC coupon clipping reality shows, one woman came through my line and bought 217 bottles of assorted Kraft salad dressing. She ended up paying nothing for them because of some weird coupon loophole. After my manager had cleared her and she left the store, I was initially impressed but then thought, what the hell are you going to do with 217 bottles of salad dressing? I usually didn't judge unless it was ridiculous amounts of junk. My favorite was a customer who bought 2 cases of tuna, a large pack of disposable razors and a few cans of Ladies shaving cream. I was wringing the stuff out and started giggling. He was confused and I asked, "Are you gonna shave a cat?" The guy took a look at his purchases and started laughing so hard he couldn't breathe. Both of us were in tears by the time he was out the door. No one else heard us, so we just looked insane. My friend is a cashier at a 7/11 and told me how people often buy cigarillos for weed. Once some like 75-year-old guy bought $50 worth of cigarillos and gave them to a bunch of 14-year-old girls. He was doing more laughing than judging. I'm a cashier at a grocery store, and I try not to judge people I only see for 5 minutes once a week, but goddamn it, if you buy wet produce and leaking meat and bags of clams and don't put them in the little plastic bags, I hate you. Oh my god, I hate you. I used to work for Williams Sonoma, fancy kitchen stuff, for those unfamiliar with the name. This guy comes in and stacks up all the microplane ribbon graters from the display on the counter and asks if we have any more in the bag. I tell him that I'll check, I go in the bag, come back out and let him know that's all we have and tell him when our next shipment is coming in, how many are available at other stores, etc. He buys them all, leaves, and then my boss comes up and says, "Oh my god. While you were in the bag, that guy was telling me about why he wants those graters. He owns a couple of nail salons and is planning to use them to grate calluses off of customers' feet. I advised against it. If you've ever used this model of grater, they are fucking sharp and will decimate a block of hard cheese very efficiently. I actually feel kind of nauseated when I think of that guy using those on feet. I also look around nervously to identify the equipment when I go for a pedicure, just in case." Worked at a McDonald's when I was 16. People would buy a hamburger, then complain they ordered 5, the cashier made an error, and demand they be brought out quickly. I would have to explain they only paid for 1, as the receipt shows, so I would be happy to get them for more if they paid for them. People always thought they had a foolproof plan for free food. I used to work in an upscale china shop. We had a set that sold for between £2,000 for a side plate and £25,000 for a casserole dish. Yeah, they were gaudy and ugly and overpriced, and yeah, if you bought any of it, I assumed you were a senseless prick with more money than taste. I work at the customer service desk and I usually don't ring up many groceries. This one lady, probably her mid-40s, came up with a bottle of baby oil and put it on the counter. I asked if that was all she was buying and she asked where's the candy located? Oh, crap. I looked like such a pervert. That really made my day. I used to work as loss prevention at Walmart. We'd carry items around as props to look like we're shopping. I'd always have a Justin Bieber calendar, rope, a jar of Vaseline, and condoms in my hands as I walked around trying to catch people stealing. When nothing was going on, it's a really boring job, just of walking and waiting, so I'd carry weird shit to see people's faces when I walked by. At CVS a few weeks ago I saw a ragged looking, bearded black guy, 75 years old, maybe 130 pounds, buy a 36 pack of Magnum condoms and a 2-liter bottle of Pepsi. I judged him to be awesome. Walgreens cashier here, a lady about 55 years old comes into Walgreens every day and buys the same 3 items every day. 1 gallon of drinking water, 1 99-cent tube of lotion, and a single roll of the cheapest toilet paper we sell. That shit's like sandpaper. She then asks for every item in their own separate bag. I'm sorry, but I judge the fuck out of her. Literally nothing. I just don't care. If you buy the latest Air Bud DVD, assorted phallic veggies, and a bottle of lube, I don't care. Have a party. If you buy a zombie mask and a box of condoms, I hope you get laid at your Halloween party. I've been standing here for 7 hours, my fucking back hurts, my fallen arches are killing me, I just do not care. Former McDonald's employee here. I didn't really judge fat people buying a lot of food for themselves. I don't really care after all. However, I judged fat people buying a lot of food to their young fat kids, like a large Big Mac meal for a 7-year-old kid. Always made me kind of sad. There's an out-of-the-way grocery store that has great prices on really high quality meat. So I go, like, once every 3 months and stock up. One time, I left with 20 pounds of ground meat of various types. I got judged hard. Worked at a Walmart in a college town. Had about 9 guys come through together and bought between all of them 3 containers of beer each, 2 boxes of condoms each, and then each guy had 2 boxes of sleeping pills. It was a bad combination to buy all together. My manager ended up pulling the tapes and getting the police involved. I only judged one customer. She had 3 children who were dirty, hyper, pale, and overweight. She bought a gallon of milk and a shitload of little dibby cakes. She used food stamps. When the youngest, 6 years old, asked if he could get a soda, she said we don't have enough for a soda, and I sure as hell ain't using my cigarette money. I just thought about how completely she was fucking those kids over. I worked at a big box electronics store just off a major highway. Had a family come in, mom, dad and their 3 boys who are all under the age of 6. All of them filthy. The parents were the most awful humans I have ever come in contact with. They were buying a portable DVD player because it was the only way they could get their sons to shut up while they are driving, and they still had 2 hours in the car left to go. Apparently their kids had broken theirs again. The mom's tone implied this was my fault. While the mom was trying to find a credit card that worked, the dad gives the oldest son, who seemed to have a form of autism, a bottle of juice from the checkout. The kid screams and throws it on the ground. The dad had already opened it, without paying for it, and it goes everywhere. My manager said not to worry about paying for it, kids will be kids, and left to get a mop to clean it up. While the manager was gone, the dad yells at the kid for it, like screams at him, but then gives him another open bottle. The kid does the exact same thing, and we now have a lake of juice on the floor. Their other 2 sons were begging their mom to buy them candy while this is going on, about to go into full-on meltdown mode, and she is screaming right back at them. While this is going on, the mom's credit card is declined multiple times, so she decides to use debit. She tells me I guess I'll have to use our end money for this. Then in a tone that implies it's my fault, she has to use their end money to buy a portable DVD player. She says she's not sure how she'll be able to make rent this month now. They left by dragging their children out of the store screaming. They did not pay for either juice. They were just passing through to another city, so I didn't feel like I could call child services, but I have never wanted to so badly. Thank you for watching today's episode of r/AskReddit. If you have any similar stories, feel free to share them in the comments section. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button on your way out. Until next time, goodbye.